Hello viewers, Super GT here. Welcome back to some more Gran Turismo Sport. This was a really weird race. Normally Group 1 serves up some weird sort of drama. The main thing you'll notice is the very big mix of these Vision Gran Turismo cars, so they're not even real cars, up against some real race cars, like the Audi R18 there. Now this is the grid. I've qualified in 4th, as we can see here. There he is, Mr. Super GT. About 4 tenths off the fastest time, and let's look at the third row here. So that's the top 6. The top 6 within a second of each other. So this is the FIA off season, the new season if you like, but it's kind of just a filler between the real seasons. So we can just really do our best to see what we can achieve. There's a bit more freedom with the rules, like the tyres are a bit more open, the choice, and there's just other things like damage and stuff. So things are different. We're going to pull away from the line here with 2 TCS, get a really good initial launch, but then kind of bogs down as we approach second gear. Up the inside comes the Frenchman with a really good launch from the third row. So he's gained a couple of positions, gets speared by the German into turn 2, but they just about keep it on the track. And they're coming through turn 3. This is where things really begin to unravel. I also get speared wide by the Russian.
This much, all the girls. What you say?
Now, when I first played this game, it seemed that the Spaniards were my true enemy, but it might now be Russia. We have damage on the car. Now, this is something that's different for this off-season. You have to pit to repair your damage, and this Dutchman is actually recovering from an accident, so he was actually near the front of the pack. So here we go, going to go into the pit lane. You have a choice there of medium and hard tyres. So obviously in qualifying you want to kind of use the softer one if possible, so the medium in this case. And then on the race, ideally the harder compound's better. Of course you'll have a pace advantage on the medium tyre, but it won't last very long, especially with an 11-minute race, or sorry, 11-lap race, which would be about more than 20 minutes. You'll just be killing yourself after a couple of laps with zero grip. So there's a couple of differences with this season which you do need to get to grips with, quite literally, in the case of the tyres. But this race here is going to be a race of recovery now, which is quite annoying. The guy in 3rd, Max Verber, he was the one who we made contact with on lap 1. So if I can try to beat him, that would be an absolutely amazing recovery. A couple of guys going into the pit lane, so we've jumped them up into 13th. So I think anything within the top 10 again is a lot better than where I am now, obviously. And one thing you should note though is that my rating is a little bit lower than it was before. So we had that absolute meltdown at Red Bull Ring where my driver rating got reset. So I was well into A+. I was like 57,000 driver rating. I lost like 15,000 points, so I went down to A. So things went really badly for me, and as a result, the quality of driver isn't going to be as great that I'm racing against. But still, any result that I can get is always good, and especially if you've been speared off at turn 1 or lap 1, trying to recover as many positions can be quite fun. Can be frustrating, of course, really frustrating, especially when you're going around at the back for a while. And if this was a top level lobby, there'll be almost no chance of any positions being recovered. But as I'm not as good as I used to be, I'm just an A hole now rather than an A+ hole. There's actual chance here of actually clawing back some positions and some respectability. So the last couple of corners here, the Peugeot L750R is what we're driving here. This thing is a really weird looking machine, of course, sort of reminiscent of the Batmobile if anything. But it seems to be very good around this circuit. It seems to be very good in Group 1 full stop, as the Ukrainian just ahead of us goes into the pits. We've actually overtaken Max Verber. Actually, no we haven't. We've got quite close to him. So he's just actually 2 positions ahead. You can see him just go around the second corner there. A little bit further round. We do presumably have an extra pit stop to do compared to him though, so that could change. He could increase that gap still. Just constantly monitoring the gap on the map. There is a big group around turn 5, which we're coming up to now. You see the speed differential between myself and the Audi R18 there, as I easily sail up the inside and take 11th. So there's positions to be gained here. There is definitely some potential for a result well inside the top 10. So it was very easy. I was very close just to giving up completely, pulling out the Ethernet cable and just saying goodbye to this race. But I thought, you know what, let's carry on, let's see what I can do. So we've got another Russian into the pit lane, different one this time though, Rage Racer 48. As we cross the line to begin lap number 5, still actually in 5th place. You don't actually lose too much time. That's the thing on this game. If you're going into the pit stop and you're just changing your tyres and doing no fuel, you really don't lose a lot of time, because the car kind of, you leave the pit box and then you appear at the end of the pit lane, so it really does shorten it. In Formula 1 in real life you're normally losing like 20 seconds. In this game it's well under 10. It can be well under 10 seconds that you lose, which really isn't that much time, especially given that if you're going round for a couple of laps, let's say 2 seconds off the pace, you could easily lose that 10 seconds within a couple of laps very easily. So timing your pit stops right and doing the right amount of pit stops is really important. And judging by my tyre wear, the front right isn't really liking this Maggiore race circuit, so I probably will have to come in again. I don't think missing out the tyre stop, I mean I went into the pits at the end of lap 1 and I didn't change tyres. I don't think that really would have changed too much, because it was at the end of lap 1. I still would have had to have done 10 laps on one set of tyres, which was probably still asking too much. But you can see here just slowly catching up with the Spaniards and the Russian here. So having a good lap and just still monitoring the gap on the map. So we've got 3 guys ahead of us here, and then about 3-4 second gap ahead of them is another group of 3. So if I can kind of get through this little group and then start bridging the gap to the next one, then that's definitely a good position in store for us. A couple of people in the pit lane, so we're going to jump up some positions, up into 8th now. So that's good. We're actually going steadily now. I think I will have to pit again, so that is something still to consider. And I think I've actually gone past Max Verber. So at this current point, I'm actually still ahead. I've managed to claw back that much time. And something else I did notice is that once I came out of the pit stop, at the end of the first lap, I was about 24 seconds off of the lead, and currently just 27 seconds off the lead. So I haven't really lost too much compared to the leader, and the leader is a long way ahead. Second place, maybe about 5 seconds behind him, and then about 7 seconds behind second is third. So the gaps from first to second to third are really large. So it's quite unfortunate that accident happened, because I think I would have been quite easily slotting into that kind of area, first to third or something. But I suppose this makes the race a bit more dynamic and a bit more interesting for you, as we now claw our way past Luki Brima quite easily up to 7th. Actually, no, in fact, Max Verber is still in 5th, so he's just ahead of us at this moment. Quite far ahead is he? Is about 5 seconds. So Rage Racer there, about 1.5 seconds ahead of us. And then just judging by the map, about 5 seconds further on is Mr. Max Verber. If we can overhaul him, then I'll be very pleased indeed. So GTR Wolf goes into the pit lane from 2nd on the hard tyre. So of course we're not going to bother with the medium tyre. You do have choice with the tyres, but it's just really no point. You're going to have to come into the pit stop again. And actually Max Verber's gone in with the medium. I'm going to go in as well. I think it's about the right time. So 2 5-lap stints after lap 1. And away we go. 3.3 seconds of penalty work to deal with. We'll serve that at the end. Of course, this is an FIA race, so the track limits are a little bit more strict than they are in your typical daily race. So here we are then. It's a race from here to the end. No more pit stops to do, or no more scheduled ones. Of course, if we get more damage, then we may well have to come in. But at this point here, just trying to go to the end, try to reel in this group ahead of us as best we can. So up behind the Frenchman here, in the same car, runs a little bit wide, but going to try to find our way past. Not going to rush it. We're a little bit too far back here, so it can be sometimes quite difficult to go for a pass on someone who's in the same machinery as you. But this time he goes really wide on the exit of that turn, so quite easily able to sail past him. Fast forward that lap, and I've just reeled in the Dutchman in 9th. So still in a top 10 position, and again just monitoring that the map. I'm actually only 20 seconds behind the leader at this point here. So technically, since the end of lap 1, I've actually gained on the lead. So I've actually technically since then been the fastest person on the track, you could say. So second place, a couple of seconds off, and then judging by the map, I've said that so many times, but that's how I'm kind of judging and gauging this race. You can't always tell all of the gaps on the left hand side, of course only to the leader and then the person ahead and behind you. But just by looking at that, I can see that there's a very big group of about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cars. So, and they're only maybe a couple of seconds ahead of us here. So it's definitely a chance of clawing ourselves way into the top 10. And on this back straight, you can see just how good this Peugeot car is, and you can see it easily overhauling the Dutchman into big banky boy, clipping the apex nicely, getting through there okay. You see the tail end of the group just going through the chicane ahead of us, so they really aren't too far away, about 3.6 seconds in fact, judging by the left hand side of the screen. So we can hope to slowly reel that group in. Got 3 laps in which to do it, and the tyre wear at the moment isn't too bad. We can kind of push onto the tyres, rely on them for grip at this moment, and it's always nice to have sort of visual contact with the group ahead. Max Verber into the pits, so we're actually going to overhaul him. He was on medium tyres, which I think is really the wrong thing to do. He's actually gone into the pits twice in this race. I've gone in twice, but only once because of damage. So he might have gone in because of damage, you don't know, but I think if he's choosing medium tyres, that is the wrong strategy to go with. So he's down into 10th now. I'm up to 8th with still positions to be gained. 2 Spaniards and a Russian just ahead of us. And this is the point here where you just got to have a good lap. Don't be too greedy. You know, you're not always going to be able to gain the whole gap in one lap. So just do all you can. Be consistent. Don't ruin your tyres too much. And just trust the pace is there, because it seems to be at this moment that I am the quicker guy compared to these people ahead of me. So it's definitely looks like it's ominous. They are being hunted down by the Brit. So the first Spaniard is going to be my first victim here, going 7th, and not quite anywhere near close enough to go for the move here. He's in the same car once again, into Big Banky Boy for the 9th time. You can see here, these 3 here, they are here for the taking. 2 laps to go. Can I get that 5th place? Potentially even more, maybe, if people have got penalties, which they may well have. I've got 3.3. Guy in 6th has got 3.2. And he actually runs really wide. And we give each other space, and I've gone through up to 7th. So good move. He kind of left me all the room in the world, and I took it. So up into 7th. 2 laps to go then. Can we gain these 2 positions here? We definitely have the straight line speed, but I just have to be kind of careful here not to get a careless penalty. He's going to turn 1 late on the brakes. You can see trying to hook it around the outside to give me the inside line for this turn. Rage Racer running the Spaniard out quite wide, and I'm on the outside of a Russian going into turn 3. I've had bad memories of that. And you can see here the Spaniard actually this time pushing the Russian wide. I'm getting flashbacks to lap 1. He actually gets a penalty there, 7.2 seconds worth of penalty to serve here. Moves over to the right hand side to go defensive. I thought to serve the penalty, but he doesn't actually serve it there. So sweeping around the outside, up into 5th place. So from here, it doesn't look as though I'll be able to gain on 4th. He has a 6-second gap, which is probably too big of an ask, with only 1.5 laps remaining in this race. So all I can do really is just try to consolidate 5th, try and pull away from this group behind, and just make sure that I have a big enough gap such that when I serve my penalty, I don't lose a position. But of course the guy directly behind has a 7.2 second penalty, so he really probably should not be a threat at this point as we come up the hill for the penultimate time. So easily flat out in this Group 1 car, flying through there quite easily. The race is actually really spread out at the front, and you can see the gap actually to the leader, 24 or 20, near enough 25 seconds. So quite disappointing really to be down here in 5th. I think it might have been a very dynamic duel for first place had that incident on lap 1 not happened. because I seem to have been equal pace with the leader since the end of lap 1. So a bit unfortunate, but that is the way that it sometimes goes, or very often goes in Gran Turismo. So one more lap remaining just to consolidate this position, and we're having a big moment of oversteer on the exit. You see there the grip beginning to fall away slightly on the exit of the hairpin, but we're just about okay here. We still have a 2-second gap behind, and we're just going to speed our way through this final lap just to show you that there was no trickery involved. Actually getting another penalty there, up to 3.9. Again, the limits are really strict in FIA races, even sometimes just grazing all 4 wheels onto a curb, and that's enough. We've actually overdone it on the fuel. We didn't actually need to fuel save at all because we've still got 7% left. Up to the line we go. It's going to be a 5th place, so a decent recovery from where we started, or from where we started after the crash on lap 1, and perhaps a little bit disappointing because I think I matched the guy in the lead for time throughout the majority of the race, but oh well. I think 2nd place or 1st was possible, but this is the thing, sometimes it doesn't always go to plan. It's just up to you to kind of recover the best you can if it doesn't go your way, and I think in this case, I think 5th might have been the best result I could have got from where I was. But I do hope you enjoyed this video, guys. Do let me know your thoughts as always, and yeah, many thanks for the support as always. So a couple of you have your name on the outro. Thank you to you for supporting on Patreon. And well, thank you for the support as always, guys. I shall see you in the next video. Goodbye.
Listen.